will I talk? Kindly settle down, all the members of MMA who have come here live after a long time. Warm welcome to each one of you. I hope you had a lovely tea what we have made for you this evening, high tea. I hope you enjoy the high tea. You're going to enjoy really a fascinating evening. Before I call upon the distinguished panelists, they're already logged in. Syed Kirmani, they logged in, and Sumanth and other panelists, Sharath has already joined us. So I thought I'll give some time for another 2-3 minutes for the people to log in and come in so that none of them miss the opening punchline from our own Kamal, who will be introducing the session. And let me briefly tell you what's happening in MMA next few days so that you don't miss them. But let me warmly welcome each one of our viewers watching this program live from all over the world and live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, also live on radio. And it's indeed a privilege to see you watching. And those who missed coming to MMA, please do come in future. Most of our programs it'll be a hybrid, and we are getting used to the technology. So when somebody logs in, I do hear some noise in between. Doesn't matter. I think we'll perfect it over a period of some time because it's a Zoom plus integrating all the sound system with multiple cameras. It's like a cricket match watching. I don't know which camera goes where sometime. But anyway, you're going to discuss success story of cricket today. Now, coming on the 11th, we have excellent talk by University of Madras Endowment Lecture by Professor Panchanathan. He's a Vice Chancellor of Tamil Nadu Teachers Education University. He's again talking a very important theme. I don't think you should miss it. The theme is on what is the future of, very warm welcome to Mr. Rajaram. Please come. Good to see you, sir. Then on 13th of February, that is 13th is Saturday, again we have an excellent event, which is orders have been placed for 48,000 crores with HAL. We want to know what is it for MSMEs, what is for Indian security. We've got outstanding 4 speakers. That is Kota Harinarayanan. He is founder chairman of aeronautics, and he's also authority on, I think he's the one who actually designed. And Air Marshal Philip Rajkumar is a former National Flight Safety Center, and Air Marshal Matheshwan will be in conversation with them. Because this program will give you insight on what is our strategy in terms of our own indigenousness, Atmanirbhar, how the MSMEs can benefit, so much of money, and how the offset will go to benefit. Many of them, you don't know exactly what happened. Maybe after a very long time, HF-24, I think indigenously manufactured aircraft is going to come today in India. So that is the thing. Now, can you just put this sound to nil here? As I said, technology, I think my voice is coming back. Make it mute here. Thank you. Yes. Now coming to on the 18th of Feb, again, we have emerging trends and transforming changes in university education. They forward. Again, we have an outstanding international panelist, Hadbir Singh, the director of studies from the Wharton School, USA, and Dr. Raghuram, former professor, head of US IM Bangalore. And LS Ganesh, you all know from IIT Madras, will be discussing with them again important topic, which is very current. Then another new initiative, new series we are starting in MMA, Startup India, Challenges and Opportunities, where we bring up the Economic Time Awards. We have identified 13 outstanding startup winners. They are being invited every month for a conversation with Shankar, who is a founder of CAMS, and he'll be discussing in detail with them what made them very successful to receive the award at Engage. What are the various obstacles they face? What are the safety net? How they manage the finance? So all this watching, not only the startups or entrepreneurs will get immensely benefit, each one of us as an individual will get immensely benefit because we should learn from what is happening in mind and how they have been so successful. And you all know there's so many companies already become unicorn, more than 11 of them last year. That's happening on 19th February, 6 o'clock. And this is again online program. And on the 20th, learning from a 10x sales growth story. Again, we have got an outstanding panelist. Pankaj Seth is the Vice President of Insights Media Hindustan Times from New Delhi. Neeraj Swarup is Independent Director and is faculty from Jain College, and Kannan Sitaraman is Venture Capitalist. They will be discussing this. Then on 22nd February, again, we have an outstanding event. I'll take one more minute so that none of them will get bored. Very nice event. Mr. Bhaskar Bhatt is going to be talking to us, former director, managing director of Titan, is also on the Tata board. The 9 nuggets of innovation, outsmart the competition. We have Mr. L.R. Natarajan who written the book. We're going to have a discussion on this book. Again, we have some outstanding event on the 12th of February, that is on business strategies post-pandemic. Rathandeep on 26th Feb, MMA annual convention. We have some outstanding speakers lined up. I urge upon you this time. The convention is complimentary to members, is by invitation. We have really galaxy of outstanding speakers. The theme of the convention, you all know, India turning point, challenges and opportunity. We've got galaxy of speakers from not only from McKinsey, outstanding speakers from international, national will be joining us. India Turning Point Challenge Opportunity is being Anu is one co-author of this report. Naveen will be moderating. We have Rakesh Mohan, former RBI governor, deputy governor, and Joe Folger is head of Foxconn. N.I. Pritha Reddy is vice chairman of Apollo Hospitals. And we also trying to get Sadhguru to share his insights in between. Then we have a session on digital transformation, accelerators of implication. Raghuram Janathan will be in conversation with Anand Sainam, was head of digital, and with Ravi Vasanathan, joint managing director of TVS supply chain. Then we also have another session, Thrive, Survive, Enabling Personal Growth Types of Adversity. Faridin Dotiwala is again McKinsey leader or leadership. He'll be in conversation with Mr. Santanam, chairman, managing director of Singobin, Jairam Vardarajan. I think now we have enough time, is almost full thing. Coming to today's topic, the triumph at Gabba, because we had a committee meeting a couple of days back where Mr. Shivakumar, who is chairing the session, he suggested we should have a session on Gabba because there's so many management lessons which each one of us, including entrepreneurs, MSMEs, can. We have put into place and immediately worked on it. And when we invited, let me have the privilege of inviting the people who are live here and people who are joined live. Let me have the privilege of inviting Syed Kirmani, who has already joined live. A big round of welcome to Syed Kirmani, who joined us. And we have a distinguished speaker, Achanta Sharath Kamal, is an Olympian Arjuna awardee table tennis. Achanta, may I request to come onto the stage. And Sumanth Raman, television anchor. Sumanth Raman doesn't really know. You see him every day handling so many anchors in the television. Today he'll be handling so many outstanding sportsmen today. And we also have Laxman Sivaramakrishnan. He'll be logging any moment. Laxman Sivaramakrishnan will be coming, and very warm welcome to Laxman Sivaramakrishnan. The format of the event, I'll request Mr. Shivakumar, who will be delivering the formal welcome and introduction. And thereafter, he'll also introduce the session speakers. Suman will be in conversation with each one of them to bring out what exactly happened behind the scene and also in front of the screens, which in the public domain. Then we also bring out what are the various management lessons that has happened. And if you have any questions today, who's ever in the audience here, we'll pass on the mic. You can ask. As usual, all the people watching the program live, send your questions chat box. You are in Zoom. Otherwise, share it in YouTube or Facebook. We'll pick it up and I'll be reading it out on your behalf so that the people can answer. And now, before I request Shiv Kumar to come and speak to you, Shiv Kumar doesn't really need introduction. He knows all the people in MMA knows, but personally privilege for him. He's one of a good friend of MMA, good friend of mine personally, and is even in number of businesses. Sometimes I have to ask him, do you remember all the business which you are in? He says, yes, I do remember. Though he'll be in trouble. He was a director of Roots and director of a number of organizations, partner Timelinks, a partner RV Industries, managing partner Prabhas, many more. And he's won number of awards, which there's no place in my slide to put it across, but including the award, which is one is MMA Award for Managerial Excellence. Over to you, Mr. Shivakumar. Let me have the privilege of welcoming you to deliver an introduction. Mr. Shivakumar.
Good evening. Thank you, Group Captain. Welcome to the dignitaries on the dais. Many of you know them. It is Dr. Sumanth Raman and Sharath Kamal. And we have Kirmani joining us from Bangalore and Sivaramakrishnan, perhaps from Chepauk or from a hotel here. One of the privileges for being a speaker is you can be without a mask. Otherwise, wherever you are, you have to speak with a mask. This is the first time we are organizing a hybrid event where a few of you can be in the MMA hall, and many of them can watch live in the Zoom. Perhaps we have about 3,000 and upwards today as attendance. One, because of cricket, which draws crowd. And second, because we have 4 great speakers today. And there are a lot of things that we're going to learn from sport, which we can use in our daily life and perhaps even in management organizations. Now, in order to give them a longer time, let me introduce each one of them. You know each one of them, but formally let me introduce. First of all, welcome to you, sir, Dr. Sumanth Siraman. Many of you, yeah. A man with a lot of humility. I think the 4 common thing amongst all the speakers today is their humility. And Dr. Sumanth Siraman, a medical practitioner, TV commentator, has had sports quiz for about 800 episodes. Okay, and he can be an expert talking about any sport. Knowledge on things that are happening in India is almost on his fingertip. So he's going to be live in action today. Welcome to you, sir. Next is Syed Kirmani, who is joining us from Bangalore. He's a Padma Shri awardee and also an award that he's won as the C.K. Naidu Lifetime Achievement Award. Many of you know that he's been chosen as the best wicketkeeper in the 1983 World Cup, which India won for the first time. There are 2 things that I like to speak about Kirmani's contribution during the World Cup. One, when we played the mighty Windies, the catch that he took of Bacchus was remarkable, and you can replay it and see maybe the best catch ever taken by the wicketkeeper. His tenure was a tough tenure because the spinners were dominating, and you know what kind of catches come to the wicketkeeper. So welcome to you, Kirmani, sir. And another noticeable thing for us winning the World Cup is the 9th wicket partnership between Kapil Dev and Kirmani when we played Zimbabwe. That was 126 runs for the 9th wicket with Kapil Dev, and that made sure that we are not eliminated. Thanks for being such a big contributor, Kirmani, sir. Laxman Sivaramakrishnan, they say, is the best leg spinner that India has seen. And what's so great about him, he's one player who could take catches out of full toss and half volleys. He had a lot of cotton ball catches as a full toss and half volley. And many of the batsmen were made to look very silly because the way he bowls is that the ball suddenly drops from the flight. It just suddenly dips sharply late in the flight. It will just dip sharply late in the flight for the batsmen have no chance of defending it. So his dismissals were far too many that way. Yeah, he's a commentator today. He can't join us here, but he'll be joining us from the hotel, and Sumanth will take it from there on. We also have another Padma Shri and Arjuna Awardee, son of the soil, although from mother tongue is Telugu, but still, I think, grown up in Tamil Nadu, Chennai. Sharath has many firsts to his credit, winning the Commonwealth Games many times. He's creates a kind of a record, 9 times national champion, which looks very difficult for somebody to beat because it takes 9 years to almost win that. So 9 times the Indian champion, many Commonwealth medals, and in the singles, he's also taken a Commonwealth medal. A good team man, good human being. I'm glad his father and his uncle have joined today. They're there in the audience. Welcome to you and to your family, Sharath. Have a great day. Let's see how the evening is going to pan out. For many of us, the Gabba is something that was totally unexpected. Many of our senior players couldn't play. We thought the match is lost much before it started. On the 4th evening, most of us thought it is only up to the lunch or up to the tea. Very few watched the match. And what a brilliant save by India, and a brilliant comeback to win, which stunned every Australian. So lots of learnings from Gabba. Over to Sumanth Raman to take this forward.
Good evening. Good evening to you all. Am I audible? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Is it okay? Yes. Perfect. First of all, let me say I'm very happy to be here to participate in this program. We are going to be talking with three legends, and we're going to be trying to understand from a management perspective the lessons of the triumph at Gabba. Now, this is not just about the one individual game, because I'm sure all of you are aware that nothing happens by accident, and to win in such trying conditions, it takes a huge amount of planning and preparation. So it's not something that just happened over the course of one afternoon, though the result that we saw happened over that particular period. So I'm going to broadly divide it into two or three subcategories and ask each of our experts their inputs. First of all, hello. Yeah. First of all, the part about the planning that has gone into this entire tour, where India has been struck by multiple adversities in the terms of injuries, in terms of missing some of the key players due to various other reasons and so on. And despite that, the preparation actually helped them come through. I'll give you a very simple example before I go to Kirmani Saab for the first question. Before the start of the tour, Ravi Shastri, Bharat Arun, and the rest of the management apparently spend several hours a day just watching with and then they were assisted by the data analytics team, who came up with a theory that over 75% of all the runs that those two batsmen scored in specific conditions were on the offside. So,
कॉल आ गया बीच में.
Kirmani Saab, first of all, welcome to the show. And one first question to you would be, what is the major difference that you see in the preparation for a tour now when you compare it with the way you used to perhaps prepare in the good old days in the 70s and early 80s?
First of all, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Loud and clear?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, let me first pay my respects and compliments to all present out there at the MMA, and who are all present, the legendary celebrated sportspersons who are present out there. My compliments to them, and wishing all of them the very best of 2021 with good health and happiness. All right. So now coming on to your question, there is a vast difference between our time and the current era of cricketers. Right? Is that the question you asked me?
Yeah, I was asking in terms of the preparation for a tour. We were talking about Shastri and Arun looking at videos of Smith in Labuschagne with a data analytics team, getting inputs on where they were scoring their runs and working out a plan to bowl more towards the middle and leg stump for these two key batsmen and so on. How important is that nowadays?
Yes. In our time, there was no such thing. There was no technology at all. Okay, there was no technology at all in our time. Only we used to discuss in a team meeting just before the match. Okay, there was no such videos. We were only one manager, one assistant manager to take care of our travel arrangements, the hotel arrangements, that's all. So we only used to discuss about what we had heard and read about the opposition who we are playing, and those legendary cricketers of our time, right? So we used to just follow the media the print media, we used to read about them, how great they were, the legendary players. And then in our team meeting, everybody used to contribute on the eve of the match. Okay, what about Greg Chappell? Like, for instance, what about Greg Chappell? What are his plus points? What are his weak points? Where should we attack? How should we attack? All these strategies and game plan we used to only discuss among ourselves. All right, we didn't have any videos of those players. We didn't have any information about their players, right? The opposition plays. What I mean is opposition. And this is how when we play against them, right? We used to watch them so closely and observe whatever the best points from there, from the batting, from the bowling point, the bowlers will take a cue. The wicketkeeper takes the entire scenario of all aspects of the game. Right. So on those basis, this is how we used to plan, and this was the way of our game plan in those days. In my days, I wouldn't know about before me how the team meeting used to take place, how they used to discuss the strategies, the game plan. I never got an opportunity to discuss with Nawab Pataudi or ML Jaisima, all these late cricketers, who played much before me.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the difference. Now there is so much of inventions and innovations into this great game of cricket, you see, and there's so much of technology. You see, the video analyst takes in the entire game, he records, all right, and then in the evening, the players meet in a conference room. The video is played, and the coach explains the shortcomings of whoever they are seeing within themselves while they are batting. They are also recorded. Video recording takes place throughout the match, right from 9 a.m. to the end of the game, every day. So on those bases, these are the very easy forms of evaluation
Yeah.
and coming to a conclusion.
Yeah.
And it is very easy. And the current era of cricketers are spoon-fed. They don't have, they're not given an opportunity to think. Now they are told what to do. So if a bowler doesn't get wickets in the first 3, 4, or 5 overs, he looks at the bowling coach for instructions.
Okay, but I'll come back to you, sir, in just a moment. Sharath, this technology thing. I mean, I'll give you another. You're in a different sport. How important is it to you? And say, I'll just give you an example. Say between the way you prepare now and say a Kamlesh Mehta or a Chandra or anybody in the past would have prepared. How important is this preparation aspect, which is technology based, to you? Yeah, I think that mic needs to be.
Hello? Check, yeah. No.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. So coming to your question, technology or no technology, preparation is the key. Because when you prepared well for any match, I think your results are, more measurable. And you know what's going to happen, and you know what you didn't do right for it to not go your way, or you know what you've done right for it to go your way. So with the help of technology, we are able to actually break down a lot of details, which back in those days, even my early days, we were still writing down on our diaries, like what happened during the match, and this was mostly our own feedback, which we remember from the match. It might not be 100%.
Yeah.
But then when you have technology on your side and you're able to break it down, break the opponent's game down and your game down, you are able to actually go into details wherein you can see if the opponent puts his left hand into his pocket, which means he's nervous.
Okay.
You know, that's an example. Or if he's scratching his head, that's probably he's going to give in this ball or something like that. So we are able to break it down to that much of detail, and we are with data we are able to clearly see which player is doing what in which particular stage. So that is helping us prepare our matches very well, and at the same time we know that the opponent is also seeing us.
Done the same thing. Yeah.
So okay, then we need to be prepared that okay, he's also prepared. You have to give your best shot, but it will come back.
Come back. Yeah, I think that this is the point that I had wanted to start off with, because we know for a fact that the Indian cricket team has a huge contingent of data analysis experts who provide minute inputs on every single aspect of the game. And that is something that has gone a long way. You talk to any of the players, they will immediately acknowledge the value of preparation in a very objective fashion, not as Sharath just said, you know, I think that he's doing this, or I thought that this would be a better stroke. So everything being calculated is probably one of the first lessons that we need to take, not just from what happened at Gabba, but even earlier. The second point that I would want to go to is to bounce back after adversity. Look, this is a team that was 36 all out. I mean, people were making them the butt of jokes after the 36 all out. And after that, to be able to bounce back. And I'm going to try and understand from Kirmani Saab, what is the thing that you would actually say to yourself? You're supposing the team has been bowled out, people are making jokes about the team, your best player is going to go back home for the next match. What do you tell yourself to bounce back?
Well, let me start off with. I'll come to the 36 all out and how we won at Gabba, how we won the series. This is the way the players would have gone through, but there's a lot of difference between our time of the grittiness, the fighting skill, never say die, thinking about in our time. Now let me quote a classic example without being egoistic. Right, 17-4-5 Zimbabwe 1983. This was a match, crucial match for the Indian team to qualify into the semi-finals. Right. I normally don't get batting in the ODIs because all were main batters were considered as all-rounders. They never considered a wicket-keeper as an all-rounder until Dhoni proved them. Okay, now 17-4-5, 128-4-8 when I walk in. And the whole team is in a panic. You are having done so very well all this while. It is the other way around from Adelaide. It's the other way around, right? Having done so very well and coming into the quarterfinals, right? 128-4-8. Now, I think it is entirely on an individual's capability, his mental strength, his gritty feeling, never to say die, and all these things were inside me, right? I have never panicked under any kind of crisis, under any kind of bad situation the Indian team went. So on those bases, I went up to Kapil Dev. He was 50 plus batting. Okay. And I went and told him before I could take the strike, I said, Caps, listen, we are in a do or die situation, my dear friend. Okay. Now we cannot just die just like that. If we have to die, we have to hit and die. Maar ke marne ka. This is how I went and told Kapil Dev, and Kapil said, Kyuri bhai, humko or 35 overs khelna hai. In our time, it was 60 overs, by the way. All right. 35 overs khelna hai. I said, don't worry. I'll play a single delivery. एक खेलूंगा मैं और 5 गेंद deliveries आपको दूंगा खेलने के लिए. और वो 5 deliveries, 5 deliveries, captain, you have to hit either or a 4 or a 6. Okay, now you are the best hitter and the best stroke player of the Indian team. This is where I motivated him. This is where I gave him that boost, saying that he is the best hitter of the Indian team, best stroke player of the Indian team. So aap maro. And from there, it was history. I'm cutting it very short, okay, due to the time constraint. All right. So now at 36 all out at Adelaide. And now the team management, there have been quite a few factors in this where the team's morale, which was right, it was dug deep into the grave. 36 all out. You can imagine. All right. We were also 42 all out way back in 1974. Okay. Mr. Ajit Wadekar's captaincy. I won't go there again. Okay. Now coming on to the Gabba. All right. So now here, now the team morale was boosted, and I'm sure the team management consisting of the senior players there and who are all injured and being seated in the dressing room. Okay, now in the team meeting, they would have talked about it and told each and every player. Ravi Shastri is very instrumental in this, right? He is a never say die cricketer, good thinker of the game, no two ways about it. Okay, so he would have given a shot in the arm to these players. Come on, guys, let us not feel the absence of those senior cricketers. Okay, now you have a great opportunity. I'm telling in my own words. I don't know how Ravi would have expressed this, and this is the outcome of what do you call the mentor in Ravi Shastri, who would have told the cricketers, the young cricketers, the under 19 guys, India A team players. You have got a great opportunity to make us not make us feel the absence of those experienced players who are unfortunately injured. Okay, great opportunity. So you got to do your best, believe in your capability, believe in your strength, and then never say die. No giving up. And from the point of players, right, each one of them played for the honor of the country to keep the tricolor flying high. My God, Ashwin taking blows, right? I think it was Vihari, hamstring pull. They could, of course, Pujara, he can hook. They all never went for those strokes for the sake of saving the country, for the sake of winning that series, right? So on those bases, these have been the aspects which the Indian team would have gone through, and good captaincy by Ajinkya Rahane.
Yeah,
right?
we'll
Can't forget his captaincy on the field.
Yeah, we'll come to the captaincy part in a bit because that deserves a longer sort of discussion. Sharath, have you been in situations where things have just fallen apart and you've been actually able to bounce back? What are the lessons that you've learned from your biggest defeats?
Yeah, it's certainly. We can have an instance for table tennis in the recent Asian Games 2018, when we won that historic bronze medal in 60 years. So in the group stages, we had Chinese Taipei, and we stand a good chance to beat them. We were ahead of them when we started off. We were 2-1 ahead. We come back. We lost. The last match was really We lost on a one-sided way, which we thought it would go our way. It went their way. So we finished at almost at 11:30 in the night. Next day is the quarterfinals. Because in the group stages, we finished number 2. If we had finished number 1, we would have gotten the bronze medal, by just by the virtue of the draw, and we would have had an easier draw. So it was late in the night. We finished, and the team was quite down. We had our best chance to win that medal at that point of time, and but we lost out on the chance in the last match, and we go back to the village. We are pretty disappointed, but then we have a job to do. Next day again, we have another chance to make things right. So it's very, very difficult to get your head off the past and think about the future when things haven't worked the way you wanted it to work. But the only thing I could tell the team, and the team was pretty mature. That was also supporting, helping me. The team was pretty mature, and we told ourselves, yes, of course, we can feel bad, and yes, we should feel bad about our loss, but let's give ourselves time for that, because after that point of time, let's start thinking about tomorrow's match. So post that, we cannot still keep regretting and thinking like, oh no, yesterday if we had won, we'd have got that medal and stuff. Because let's do that regretting after the tournament is over.
Okay. Yeah.
If needs so. If needs. So you always have to be a little bit detached from your defeat or from your success also, so that you can carry on the next.
So basically focus on the present and what is to come.
Yes, this is what everybody says. Everybody says, be in the now.
Yeah.
Be in the now. But it's very, very difficult. It's something very difficult, because
how do you erase those thoughts of you losing the previous?
No, you don't erase them. It goes along. It comes along. It's just that you need to channelize those thoughts into being a little bit more positive, starting to think about, okay, this is what happened yesterday. Maybe this is what I'll do today.
Okay.
Okay, this is what I missed. Many times it comes like you play a shot, you feel like yesterday if I put this shot on table, I would have won that match. But then you can't do much. So the only thing is, okay, in the next time when I have the same opportunity, I need to do that in the right manner. So for that, I need to be in the right frame of
mind. Yeah. Let's go to the topic which Mr. Kirmani was talking about, and that is Ajinkya Rahane. Let's look at the bowling attack that Ajinkya Rahane had with him for the last test match. The Indian team, the bowling attack of the Indian team at Gabba had a total of 13 test wickets and had 4 test matches behind them. The bowling attack of Australia had 246 test matches and 1,113 wickets behind them. 4 matches, 13 wickets, 246 test matches, 1,113 wickets. So it's literally something that, any captain would be like, oh my God, this is literally a scratch bowling attack that has been presented to him. Now, before going into his overall captaincy skills, as it were, the point I wanted to ask Kirmani Saab is, what is the fundamental impact that a calm captain has on a team versus a demonstrative captain? We know that Virat Kohli is extremely aggressive, extremely demonstrative with his emotions on the field. Rahane was, in fact, he was very aggressive too, but not in the way he was in his demeanor. What kind of an impact does an aggressive captain on the field in terms of his, emotions have on the rest of the team? And do you think that helped, calm players having a captain like Rahane at Gabba?
Well, you see, first of all, I wouldn't like to compare any individuals with another one, because it's unfair. Each individual is a different individual with a different approach, different emotions, different thinking, etc. and etc. So on those bases, I think the classic example I would like to quote here is of Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the very cool captain who never expressed much, who had no such emotions on his face, etc. and etc. And he took the team on to the highest ebb.
Connectivity.
Winning all the three, and now here between Virat Kohli and aggression works both ways, right? Because here, I'm sure Virat cannot see the team losing or anybody missing out on their performances in either way, right? So on those bases, he has his own way of aggression, and Ajinkya Rahane also has his own ways. So on those bases, it is the responsibility of an individual, right? You're playing as a team and you are bowling as an individual. If you perform well, you are retaining your place in the team. This is how the coach also motivates the players, whether a batsman or a bowler or an all-rounder. You perform, you find your place in the team. If you don't perform, if you don't show consistency, then there's so much of competition, the next man will take your place. So on those bases, the players themselves, they have to be focused on their performance. They have to be, forget about the opposition with whatever experience the bowlers might have had, the Australians, okay? Now, our young breed of fast bowlers, okay? So now they said, we will perform better than those experienced guys, whether from our side or from the Australian side. So on those bases, this was very much required. And I'm sure this would have been definitely told by Ravi Shastri into them. He would have pumped a lot of ammunition into these boys. Right now, you be focused and you be on a particular line and length. That is what is required. Okay, yeah. And each bowler will have to be focused in getting the batsman bowled. I mean, this is where I would have told the bowlers also from behind or during the break or whatever it is. You know, this is the main thing. Find a point for a bowler is he has to look at the spot when he starts running into bowl. He has to look into the spot where he wants to pitch the ball. This is a very finer point to the bowlers, which I'm pointing it out. Okay, when you look at the point where you want to pitch on a good length into the wicket area, you go very close to that spot.
Yeah.
This is how our young bowlers would have worked on. They were totally focused. We are not going to die just like that, man. So we are going to fight. We are going to do our best, believe in ourselves, and put the best foot forward. So this is how our young bowlers, fast bowlers, spinners, all these guys did a great job.
Just one additional point on that. I know that you said you would not like to compare two different styles of captaincy, but as the Indian team had several newcomers in the last match, and you know, how comfortable would a newcomer be with an emotional captain? Let's say somebody drops a catch and the captain shows his frustration. Is it more difficult for a newcomer? Would it have helped that in some ways that Rahane was very, very calm on the field, and so the you know, the other players could have felt more relaxed? You think that was a possibility?
Yes, you see now, if an aggressive captain, I'm not naming anybody, okay? I'm just talking from the aggression point of view. Okay. If for a debutant or if the newcomer drops a catch, misfields, or does not perform to the expectations. If a captain with aggression shows mannerisms on disgust, which will demoralize the youngster on the field itself. Instead of doing his best, he starts getting into a shell. Yeah, my captain is not liking, he is disgusted with my fielding, whatever efforts I have made. So when you, on the contrary, you got to clap and tell the youngster who has misfielded or dropped a catch, never mind, come on, the next one you will not miss. This is the way to motivate. This is the way to encourage a youngster, and not to show disgust, taking the cap off and all sorts of mannerisms is not good by the bowler also. You see, these were controlled by Dhoni when he was leading, I'm sure. And of course, you can't stop individuals from their expressions, from their emotions, when you're putting in so much of effort. And then a catch is dropped off you when you run so steadily and so hard, where you're sweating it out to take a wicket, and a catch is dropped there. Then the bowler definitely is very disappointed, and he has, by nature, shows an expression of disgust. So such things have to be taken into the right spirit, and then not make the bowler feel so disgusted, and do your best. So, like, for instance, if I miss a catch behind, so I tell myself, right now, the next one onwards, I will not miss. And I'm focused now. I'm focused. This is how every player should be thinking when he misfields or misses a catch. This is, and now the captain also has to be, he plays a very important role on such calamities on the field. You see, now Ajinkya Rahane exhibited that. He never showed any tantrums. He never showed removing his cap or facial expressions. You see, when a player misses a catch, the cameras focus on the expressions of the bowler as well as the captain, how his feeling is. So I think Ajinkya Rahane was pretty cool on those. He was pretty aware. Not that Virat Kohli is not aware. But these are the inside aggression which you feel so bad instantly. And at the same time, he would have definitely gone to those players and said, "Come on, do not worry. Next time you will hold better catches." So these are a few qualities of a good captain, or an aggressive captain, or a cool captain.
Yes, sir. I'm going to take that same question to Sharath. Sharath, I know it's a slightly different sport, but
Sir, can I just stop you here for a minute?
Yeah.
Sharath, I would like to take this opportunity in congratulating you for bringing glory to the country, to yourself, to your parents, and to the entire family. And we are very proud of you for what you have done, Sharath. And I'm sure you're doing your best to bring about the youngsters in your table tennis, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sharath, and lovely hearing you, your motivational guidance to the younger players. I'm sure they would be listening to you.
Thank you very much, sir. It means a lot when it comes from you. Thank you.
Please stay on, Kirmani sir. We are coming back to you for the next question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sharath, this question is, you captain the Indian team. There are players who are simply not as talented as you, who are not able to perform. Now, would these players want, what do you do with them? I mean, sometimes you can get very frustrated, right? I mean, that person is letting the whole team down, and you're in a position to win, and it's gone because of the individual's mistakes. Now, do you think that an average player would make a better captain? Because this has been a discussion in cricket for years now, that very great players don't necessarily make great captains or great leaders. And one of the reasons is they are not able to appreciate that others are not as talented as they are. So they tend to judge everybody when I can do it, and these people are not able to do it, and it leads to more frustration. So do you think that the captain of a team is better served by having somebody who's above average, but not necessarily the greatest player of his time?
Well, to my experience, I have proved it wrong. Because when I came into the Indian team, we were 36 in the world. This was back in 2004. And now we're currently number 8 in the world. So I think it's an individual characteristic. I think not everybody is able to take a team along. There are few players who are able to perform when you give them the space. And there are a few who do very well only when they're in the group. So I think as a captain, you need to figure out how best you can make one player perform. So of course, as you say, there are a lot of players. It's not because they're average. It is just that in that situation, in that place, they're not able to fit in. It is not the lack of skill or the lack of talent. Because if they had a lack of that, they would not be in the Indian team. It is only the lack of that ability or the capability to perform along with the team, or or maybe the pressure of the team. Many people play well in singles, and they don't do so well in the team. And there are opposites. They do very well in a team. Some people in a team, they are the best. You can always depend on them. But then when it goes down to individual singles,
They're not
so
able.
good. Because I think the team as such, it brings in that kind of energy where it all for one for all. That is what the team brings. And as an individual in the singles players, it is all about yourself. You have your own preparation, you do it yourself. So I think as a captain, you need to understand the individual needs. How best can you harness their internal inner talents?
Yeah.
So I think that is
but
where
sometimes do you think that great players tend to be frustrated as leaders because they're not able to, they're not able to appreciate that, others can't do what they're doing because they just don't have that talent.
this is also something which I have seen personally in many sports, not just table tennis or cricket. I think many sports where a top level player, when either as a captain or as a coach also, many times as a coach, top players fail.
Yeah.
Because the expectations are too high. The expectation to the reality, the
Mismatch.
there's a mismatch there. And second thing is they'll always compare it with themselves. I've done this, so you can do that.
Exactly.
So we are comparing different eras. So I might have done, let's say, I was running in the beach when I was younger.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not necessary now. So things have changed. There are strength and conditioning coaches now.
So I think the reason I was bringing it up was again to draw the parallel with Ajinkya Rahane. And, in a way, the next point that I want to make, I think
one thing I want to add here, when Rahane became the captain, I think the team, the individuals of the team themselves raised up to the occasion. A lot of them raised up to the occasion.
Yeah.
So, which was probably everybody thought, okay, he's a new captain, relatively new one, so all of us need to help him in.
Oh.
So you see so many individuals coming up. Let's say Washington Sundar for his debut,
Sharath, so many of them.
They all did well.
So far, what have we seen? I'll just quickly recap. One, the importance of preparation in terms of, particularly with a focus on technology as far as the game here is concerned, but the importance of preparation. The second point that we did touch upon was very importantly that when we are faced with a crunch situation, when we've just had a terrible defeat or a terrible loss, you don't focus on that too much. You tend to move on and try to live in the present and think of the future and let the past go. And these are lessons which we are seeing every day, which are applicable everywhere. The third point, again, the importance of being calm in a crisis situation, especially as a method of motivating people. The next point that I wanted to touch upon was not something that happened at Gabba at all, but it happened in the previous game. And this was the partnership between Hanuma Vihari and Ashwin. One of them with a torn hamstring, a grade 2 tear of the hamstring is incredibly painful and very, very difficult to bat with, even if you've got the best painkiller injections. But that was what Hanuma Vihari had. Ashwin had a twinge in his back, and I'm sure most of us would have seen the tweet of his wife, where she had said that he was not even able to sit up, the previous night. And so in that, playing through a pain barrier, and Kirmani sir, this question is again to you. How important was that partnership between Ashwin and Vihari in the previous test match with reference to the victory at Gabba? Remember, if India had lost the Sydney test, we would have gone into the last match one down in the series. And as it is, we went in level. So how do you rate that particular partnership? And how important do you think it was to what eventually happened at Brisbane?
Well, I think Ashwin and Vihari, right, they stood like a rock of Gibraltar, like I would like to quote here, taking blows after blows. And I think Pujara also did his very best, taking a few blows before he could get out. Right. On those bases, I think this was a tremendous effort. So now my hats off to Ashwin and Vihari for that remarkable stand throughout the day they stood. And it reminded me of Jamaica test in 1976, where the body line was on the Indian players by the West Indians. Right, they had lost a series in Australia, and we had won the Trinidad test match, which was very humiliating for the best team in the world. They ruled cricket for nearly 2 decades, and all of a sudden losing to Indian team at Trinidad, and then body line bowling. Right, 3 of our players went to the hospital, one behind the other. G.R. Vishwanath, Brijesh Patel, Anshuman Gaikwad. Right, and now Michael Holding, Andy Roberts, Malcolm Marshall. Right, no comparison to them in the current era of fast bowlers. Right, we didn't have helmets. Mr. Venkat Raghavan went to a cop who was wearing a cop helmet to ask for a helmet. And you know the reply of the cop with a great typical West Indian laughter. Hey man, go and play nah. He said, I will not give you my helmet, man. Go and get hit. Wow. This was the reply, and Venki definitely, we heard that. The language which you used in Tamil to him, Nevertheless, so this is what, they took the blows. And unfortunately, Bishan Bedi had to concede the match. He called off. You want to win this match by killing our players? And the crowd out there used to cheer and jeer, when any player used to get hit by a bouncer. They used to feel so happy in the crowd, the West Indian crowd, my God. And now likewise in Australia, these fast bowlers, of the Australian fast bowlers, they are very bad losers. Let me be very straight about it. Okay. And so hats off again. My hats off. I will bow a very deep bow to these 2 great players who saved the match playing throughout. And from behind, very unsporty of their captain, Tim Payne, for a captain to behave, and Steve Smith again, right? And they were abusing from behind, and they were so cool. Ashwin never ever retaliated. Great sportsman spirit by the Indians. They exhibited to the hilt. I'm very proud of this Indian team, which exhibited remarkable approach to all these unsporty tactics,
Yeah.
which the Australian did. And so it's a superb exhibition of keeping the Indian flag flying high.
Yes, sir. Just I'll take that question to you, Sharath. In terms of what we saw, facing up to adversity, I think how much of an impact does this kind of an incident? Because I think for many of us, watching what happened between the partnership was almost like a win in itself. Even though they were actually technically saving a test match, it was more like a victory of sorts. So does this kind of a performance serve as a huge motivation for everybody else, or how does the rest of the team look at these things?
Yeah, it does. It very much does, because the as you're saying, they actually played for a draw.
Yeah.
So before, when we were watching it that morning, we felt like, okay, we had a chance to win. We have a chance to win. Come on, guys, let's go for it. Then when Vihari got injured, and then they were actually going for the draw, I personally was a bit disappointed, because we had a chance to win. But then I think the way they played, the way the Indian players showed the character there, gave them the confidence to go into the next test, trying to actually win that test. They didn't go in a negative mindset, but they went in a very positive mindset. So that is a motivation by itself. So the instances like this help not just that particular player, but the whole team in turn.
Okay.
So there have been a lot of instances for us also where our partners, when we're playing the teams, he would have lost the match, but the way he would have fought and brought, got the motto of the level, the energy levels,
Morale of the team would have gone up.
High.
Yeah.
The next match, somebody else goes in and actually finishes the match.
Okay. Yeah. Now, the last point I wanted to sort of discuss on this particular issue before we actually start getting questions from the audience and others is about the lack of consistency that we've seen with Indian cricket. Kirmani Saab, we've seen the West Indies teams of the 70s and 80s being, kings. For 10 years, they would hardly lose one or two matches. And, a very, very few major defeats. Australia through the 90s, the early part of 2000s, very similar. They would hardly lose a game. I mean, the Steve Waugh's team or Ricky Ponting's team, they hardly lost a series. But with India, it's always been up and down. So, for instance, the victory at Gabba has given so much of hope and belief to the to all those supporters of Indian cricket. Is it possible for us to look at a consistent run from a team like this, now that there is so much of depth in the team? What is it that prevents the Indian team from having a consistent run, say, of 3 or 4 years, without too many ups and downs?
Right. Now, let me put it this way. Now, to start with, this great game of cricket has its glorious uncertainties. Right. Not not an individual, not as a team can be consistently performing to their best of their abilities at all times. No. There has to be an era or a team to be consistent. And then automatically, it's a cycle by itself, which falls on an individual or as a team. Now, West Indians ruled cricket with consistency for 2 decades. They were the champions. Any team they play, they beat them inside out. Okay. Now, the fall came on to them after 1983, which we beat them in twice in that tournament. Okay, so from there on, when all the legendary players retired, the incoming youngsters and the conditions, the pitch conditions all over changed. it changed by itself. I mean, subconsciously, I would say. And then the lack of effort also makes a world of an impact on an individual or as a team with complacency if you are the best. Very few players, individuals, you will see that they have been consistent in all the three formats now. Like, for instance, Virat Kohli, KL Rahul, very consistent as individuals. Not all can be. And then Rohit Sharma, to a certain extent, showed a great amount of consistency. But there has to be a fall to an individual and as a team at some stage or the other. The consistency will last for a while. You see, Ricky Ponting won 3 World Cups. He had the top legendary players with him at all times. And how did MS Dhoni won all the 3 formats? He had the youngsters who had established themselves with a lot of experience behind them, right? Uske baad, when the new youngsters come in and take their places, they take some time to establish themselves. So in that process, the consistency is broken. So this is a cycle by itself, which I would like to repeat again, which falls on an individual as well as a team. So nobody can say we are the best in the world. For a time, for a period, they do say. Now, West Indians cannot say they're the best in the world, right? So on those basis, we can say that we are on top now.
So, Sharath, I was reading a very famous quotation in sport, and this was by David Gower, the former England cricketer, where he says that the greatness of a player is judged not by his most brilliant innings, but by how he plays when he's out of, when he's struggling to actually middle the ball. So, and he gave the example of Graham Gooch, who was a terrible cricketer to watch, but was one of the greatest English batsmen of the recent past, where he said that, his idea was, however bad it looked, however ugly his game was, his approach was, I would not give my wicket at any cost. And Gawa would compare him with himself, where he would say, if he wasn't middling the ball, his approach was, to hell with this, I'll come back and try some other day. So I just wanted to ask you this. How important is it to lift yourself up when you're not sort of feeling good, And how is it that a team does it? I think Kirmani Saab made the point about individuals having off days versus the team itself having off days. Is there something like that, in practice?
Well, it does. It very much does. Because there have been tournaments, let's say, for example, 2014 Commonwealth Games. We just came back with 1 silver medal. We lost out on the teams. We finished number 4 in the semi-finals, and 3 and 4 we lost. Then again, in the singles, I lost out on the 3 and 4 quotient match. And we just ended up with 1 medal. Even though all of us were individually good players, but just a couple of bad matches for the team, it brings the morale down, it brings the confidence down. The only way you can get back from there is trying to forget those
Losses.
The feeling you had during those losses, more than the losses. I think many times when you're going through a rough patch, you feel very uncomfortable inside. You don't have the inner peace. You are always struggling. You're trying to find something which is already there, but you're still trying to find it. So that kind of a feeling, compared to the feeling where you're in the zone, you're not thinking of anything. You don't need to find anything. You're just going there, going with the flow, just getting your shots in, and the ball, the table tennis ball looks like a football. And during a rough patch, the football looks like a table tennis ball.
Okay.
So it's all about, trying to get to that zone. Even, of course, every player goes through a rough patch. You look at Roger Federer, you look at Nadal, you look at anybody. Everybody goes through a rough patch. It's only about how fast you can get out of the rough patch and convert it into, going into a good form. So from a rough patch, it's very difficult to go into the zone. So from a rough patch, you will stabilize, you will spend some time in a good form, and then you can peak. So I think that is a process.
Okay. So I think that there have been quite a few lessons that we've spoken about in the last 45 minutes or so.
Sir, before you go to another question to any one of us,
Yes.
I would like to add a little bit on what Sharath also expressed very well on the captaincy. I would like to quote an example who brought the best out of an average player. That is Mike Brearley, who was not a great performer. He didn't have not much of consistency, and Jeff Howard of New Zealand, who was the captain. You see, he brought the best of an average player. You know, these are the things which was a learning process to me when I speak to them to find out how do you get the best out of an average player. This is what they replied. Okay, I go and tell this average player, okay, hey man, you are our best wicket-taking bowler, and you will take it. You will get his wicket, and that kind of motivation, inspiration to that average player. Wow, the captain has such wonderful, such a great confidence in me. I have to live up to what he has said. So this is how a captain should take the best of an average player. And these are the qualities of a good leader, a good captain. So I think this was a wonderful thing, a learning process for me also, when I speak to all these captains as to how they control, how they go about. This is my experience with all these great legendary captains as well.
Yes, sir. I think that's a
Thank you so
wonderful
much.
point. Yeah, just hang on, sir. 1 minute. I think it's a wonderful point that he made, that average, Mike Brearley was certainly not a great player. I think all of us may remember in our childhood how he turned out to be one of the most successful captains of England. And he could not even hardly hold his own place in the team. He was
Yeah.
actually playing in the team just as a captain more than anything else. Who technically
True,
was at the
true.
top of the batsman. But he was sort of non-performing captain, so to speak. But the ability for him to bring out the best, particularly in Ian Botham at that point of time, was considered to be legendary. So I think that we've sort of covered a lot of areas, and I think we can open the floor to questions from the audience. The audience would like to ask Mr. Kirmani or Sharath any questions. Then we can take them. But I think we've gone through some of the very, very important. I know that it's easy to say that these are lessons that most of us know, but it's worth repeating and going into the mind of an ace sports person like Sharath or Kirmani sir to understand what has led to success. As I said at the start of this discussion, success at Gabba did not come in 4 hours. It came right from the time the planning for the tour started for 3-4 months earlier. And so that is the first thing that we need to remember. Second, the ability to hang in there when all seemed lost, which is what Ashwin and Vihari actually displayed. Earlier than that, the ability to bounce back, put away a disastrous performance in Adelaide, take it out of your system and come to the next game as a new game without all the gremlins or the ghosts in you. That's another important lesson. Obviously, the most important, not being too overly emotional either in defeat or in victory, and that's what we saw from Ajinkya Rahane as a captain, and the ability to infuse confidence in not necessarily the greatest set of players that you have. You don't have your first team. In fact, only 3 players played were common to the first test and the last test. So you had a complete new set of players who were effectively second string players, but you had to motivate them and make them believe that they could take on the champion. So I think there are a number of lessons, management lessons for those who watch the show. And I'm sure that while some of them are obvious, it's worth repeating. So I'll now throw open the floor for questions. Yes, sir.
Yeah. This question is to Kirmani Saab. When IPL was launched in the beginning, there was a lot of criticism that the format itself will pull down Test cricket. But we have found, on the contrary, that IPL has helped India to discover a pool of talented cricketers. And their role in Gabba win is truly remarkable.
Yeah.
So my question is that in future, will IPL be an enabling factor for Test cricket, or will it pull down Test cricket?
Well, I think, yes. Is that your question finished? Yes. Now, I think this was a good introduction of T20. And you got to be innovative. You cannot be having an idli vada every day. You got to have a variety being done, and showcases the youngsters. They have a great chance and opportunity to learn from the seniors and great legendary players who share the same dressing room. So this is a wonderful format, and this will carry on. But if a player can adopt himself or herself in all the three formats, like what Virat Kohli, he adopts himself into Test cricket, and then one day international, and then T20. To adjust oneself in all the three formats exhibits a great quality of an individual. So it's a great opportunity for the cricketers to go through all these formats. They would learn how to adopt themselves to situations, circumstances, into Test, into ODIs, and into T20s. It showcases their talent to the best of their abilities. So I think this will go on. All the three formats will go on.
Yeah.
Right. So on those basis, I don't know if I have answered your question.
Yeah. Sharath, this was something we were talking about just before the discussion started. You said that IPL had contributed greatly to eliminating fear in the minds of the players. Just tell us something, what you were telling me earlier.
Well, that's the personal experience.
It's fine.
That's the personal experience with the table tennis league. It's called the Ultimate Table Tennis. It's called UTT. And we've had 3 seasons until now. And every season, we are able to spot new talents. That is, the first thing is, I went into Europe back in 2004, 2005, because the European circuit is stronger. We'll have good matches. We'll be able to have good sparring partners. But then the same thing has been brought down to India. And let's say a junior player in my team who's under 21, he's able to practice, sit and talk, he's able to dine, he's able to joke, do everything with the best players in the world. Let's say top 10 in the world also. So that eliminates fear, basically. You don't get intimidated once you go into an international tournament and see those huge halls and people from various countries practicing there. And you, many times as a young player, I've lost the match even before the tournament started, just because I've just been intimidated by the whole environment. So I think that way, as Sir was asking now about IPL and the leagues, the franchisee-based leagues, when you bring in those foreign players in here, and in the changing room, you are, sitting and actually talking to them. I've also heard L. Balaji say that in our own dressing room, you many times go to the corner because you feel like, oh, maybe I don't belong here, or I'm not, when there are greats like Sachin Tendulkar and Laxman and Ganguly, you don't want them to hear your voice.
Yeah.
So that thing has been eliminated now, and that is also the reason why most of the Indian sports are doing well in the international.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful point, because to eliminate fear, the fact that you're actually interacting with the best in the business, people who, you're talking to them, you're sharing the dressing room with them, that takes away the element of fear. So when you face up to them on the field, you're not as scared as you would have been, because they've been your teammates probably a few months earlier in one of the leagues, and you played along with them. So you got to know them as individuals. So I think that's a huge point. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
There are questions that are poured in from the virtual media audience. And one of them is, they're asking, what is Kuldeep supposed to do? Can't play when Ashwin and Jadeja are there. Won't play when Jadeja isn't there. And India is playing at home. When does he play?
Kirmani Saab, Kuldeep Yadav. This question is about him because today, I mean, there was a lot of talk when Shahbaz Nadeem was picked.
Yeah.
So this question is about what should Kuldeep do now to get a chance?
Well, you see now, well, you see, you got to keep encouraging the new talent, which they have been performing into the domestic circuit or in the IPL games. Nadeem, for instance, right? And then, of course, Kuldeep Yadav has been a great spinner. He has been with the Indian team for a very long time. I suppose from 3-4 years he has been with the team. So it was a good inclusion to check out. You know, we have to look for the future, the building of a team for future, to test each and every. Now they have seen all the younger fast bowlers like Mohammad Siraj, Saini, Natarajan. All these players have been seen in Australia. Now let us see the other new fast bowler, how he is going to perform. You see, now the conditions also make a difference. On an individual who has been inducted into the team for the first time. You see, now in Australia, you have lovely bouncy pitches, could bounce. Whereas in Indian pitches, we don't have that kind of a bounce. And it is very frustrating if you have seen today's match by our bowlers, particularly Bumrah and even Nadeem. You know, they didn't know how to and where to pitch the ball because there was no bounce in the pitch. The ball was keeping low. And very occasionally on certain areas, the ball was going waist high to Rishabh Pant behind. So on those bases, and this is how this partnership flourished also between Root and Sibley. You see, they had enough time for a good length delivery also to go back and play. So the ball was coming slow off the pitch. So these are the things which make a difference. Now the West Indian fast bowlers, when they come into India, our time, they used to struggle to get a good bouncer. So on those bases, they used to get frustrated because our pitches were tailor-made for our own spinners. We were rich in our spinning department. So on those bases, I think the newcomers have to be tried because once they are performing with consistency, they should be given a chance when they are in good form.
Yeah.
So on those bases, Nadeem was tried, and then of course Kuldeep Yadav had to replace Jadeja, who's recovering from his injury.
Yeah. Next question.
There's over 11.
Wonderful, sir.
We got a couple of questions from YouTube. Maybe we take two last questions.
Yeah, last two questions.
Laxman Sivaramakrishnan conveyed it.
Okay.
Maybe we'll get him the next time to join us next time.
Yeah.
Here's a question from Mr. Sridhar from Zoom. Can we say that the Indian team had nothing to lose when they played? Maybe this made them go all out to give their best. No, is it the true, or your comments, please?
Okay, Sharath, nothing to lose attitude. Sometimes, I mean, you're playing somebody, everybody expects you to lose. So does it take some of the pressure off?
Yes, it does. But many times you buckle when you actually have the chance because you're not prepared for it. You of course, there's no pressure. There's no pressure on you. But at the same time, when you're actually presented with that situation, and if you're not ready to take that opportunity, you're going to buckle down. But I think here, let's say with the test in Gabba, I think India was, it was not completely that we would lose that match, or it's not going to be a one-sided match. Many times we've also gone through those situations. That was the same in many Asian championships, or where we have the chances, we've done really well against good teams. But in the end, we've lost it out only because we didn't believe that we could actually take them down. So that is a big difference if you are a complete underdog or you're actually contending for, So when you're actually contending for the title or for the win, then you cannot go completely saying that, okay, there's nothing for me to lose. So you have something at stake there. So,
it's a mixed bag. Yeah.
I would like to add, sorry, I would like to add a little bit to this one, this particular question, nothing to lose. You see, it was similar, we were in a similar situation when we left the shores of India to play the World Cup, 1983. We were the fourth weakest team in the competition. And then some of our players also felt that we have no chance, we have nothing to lose, so let's go and enjoy ourselves. So each one came up, a few players came up with, I'm going for a holiday, So we had nothing to lose actually, just to gain some experience. And at the same time, the very first match was the turning point for the entire Indian team. The first match of our tournament. We went with an impression, nothing to lose, let's enjoy ourselves. Let me put it collectively there now. Okay, each one had a different opinion, a different way of thinking about the entire tournament, okay? So on those basis, first match, we played the reigning world champions who had won 1975 inaugural World Cup, and then they won the 1979, and they were gunning for a hat-trick. So we were in their same group and we played our first match against them and we won over them comprehensively. And that was a shot in the arm to the entire team in the dressing room. The entire scenario changed from the fun point of view, from the holiday point of view, and the mindset changed there. From we have nothing to lose, we still had that. But at the back of our mind, we all said in our dressing room, hey, we have beaten the world champions, man. Now let's not look back. So let's believe in our own strength, let's believe in our own capabilities, and let's put our best foot forward. And the best part out here, I would like to compliment on Captain Kapil Dev. In our very first meeting before the first match, in our team meeting, he said, listen, we were 7 seniors to Kapil Dev in the team, by the way. 7 seniors. And he was a junior, made a captain, okay? Now, Kapil Dev, it's a great thing for a captain to come out with this kind of a statement. He said, listen, gentlemen, in his own English, right, okay? He's improved his English like hell now, okay? So on those bases, he said, I don't have to tell you seniors what your responsibilities are, what your duties are, and what you should do. Contrary, I need your support. That is absolutely a great comment coming from a captain. Normally, a leader or a captain, let me put it this way. Okay, the entire problem globally is because of the 3-letter word. You know which one? EGO. So this was without any ego from Kapil Dev, who expressed this great statement. So each one of us said, yes, now we don't look back. We have beaten the world champions. This is the second time we have beaten them, once before the World Cup in Berbice in 1983 itself. Now, this was our second taste of victory over the world champions. So this is what, the feeling. We have nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose, yeah.
We went with a feeling of nothing to lose, but it turned out to be in a different way now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I think we have come to the end of the session. It's 7:30. There are a number of questions that come from Facebook, YouTube, as well as thing. I think since the paucity of time, we'll think because there's so much of takeaways toward this evening. Thanks so much, Mr. Kirmani. As usual, you're still so excited and so much energetic. I think one day you should come and tell us how you are keeping yourself so energetic and agile, Even
No,
this,
you see, I have I have been inspired by Mr. Shiv Kumar, who's sitting
yes.
beside you there. He has been a great source of inspiration to me in the very initial stages, say about 15 to 18 years ago when I met him for the first time. When I heard about him, how he brought about Prabha Engineers, that was a shot in the arm for me. From there on, he is a very great leader, I feel. So he is a great source of inspiration himself to MMA.
Thank you so much, sir. Sharath, as usual,
Thank you, sir.
fascinating to have you. I'm quite sure under your dynamic leadership and foresight, sure India will come to the top #1 position in the world. Sumanth, sir, it's always wonderful the way you coordinate as a moderator, bring out the best among the two panelists. Thanks so much. We look forward to seeing you more in MMA. As a token of our appreciation, we would like to present something which we will really appreciate during this difficult time. I think that's what we could do that. And we have 400 face masks we would like to present to so many people who need them. So our volunteers, what they do, they go around the places. I think till the vaccine reaches everybody, I think it will be very, very useful. This is the only way we can prevent coronavirus. So we request each one of them, stay safe. All the viewers who watch the program live from all the social media portals, those who are here with me in the auditorium, I think in future we'll have more hybrid sessions and the technology is working much better. I think that's good. And one thing I thought there'll be too many audience today, more than 2,000 plus 3,000. When I saw some 1,100, I thought, why did it happen? Our Indian cricketers are very, very emotional. If India had not done as much as they wanted to happen, Gabba today in England, they thought it's enough, put the Gabba into Dabba, let's relax and watch some movie. I think that was the reason. Once again, thanks so much to each one of you. It's a pleasure and look forward to seeing you soon again in MMA. Stay safe, stay healthy till we meet again. Bye-bye and good night.